I have been decorating our house, getting ready for the holidays, and if you're anything like us, we're excited about Thanksgiving, and it's making us think about doing some holiday crafts. So today, instead of doing an art project with you in the dining room, we've moved into the kitchen and we're gonna teach you how to make a really simple recipe that's actually a craft you can hang in your home. It's called salt dough ornaments. So you only need a few things to do this project. You need some parchment paper, some wax paper is what that is. A rolling pin is really helpful, but you don't need it. You need a cookie sheet to cook on. And then the two ingredients for our salt dough ornaments are flour and salt. So if you don't have flour and salt, and you're gonna need water too, but I hope you have that. If you don't have flour and salt, you can do this project anytime this week. So if you need to send an adult or a friend to the grocery store, you can do that and do this project anytime this week during or after Thanksgiving, and I hope you enjoy it and have fun. You ready, Lucy? Are you ready, Lucy? She's ready. Let's do it. Should we do this in warp speed?
Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so the first step of our salt dough ornaments is to use 4 cups of flour. So Lucy's gonna go ahead and measure out 4 cups of flour. Here we go. And then it's really good to level it off. So there's 1. You know this is art making. We are gonna make a mess. 1. Level it off. There you go, you can do it. There, perfect. 2. It's like snow. It is like snow. Oh, that makes me in the mood for the holidays. Sometimes when people say the holidays, they mean Christmas, but other things are holidays. That's right. And not everybody celebrates Christmas, right? So we want to include everybody. So there's 3. Uh-oh, did we lose track? Is it 3? It's 3. Okay, let's do 1 more. Now, if this is too big of a batch or you don't have that much flour on hand, you could always ask an adult to help you put the recipe in half. Alright, there's 4. Good job. Now, because we're not going to eat this, the measurements are not as important. Alright, Lucy, you can scoop that out of the way. So we've got our 4 cups of flour, and then we are going to do 1 cup of salt. That's going to be Lucy, pour in that 1 cup of salt. Wow, that's a lot of salt. You can always do half a recipe, so that would be 2 cups of flour instead of 4, and a half a cup of salt instead of 1 cup. But we're going to make a lot of these ornaments. Lucy, you think we should give them to some of our friends, or make some for Grandma and Grandpa, Nana and Papa? Okay. We can make one for Dad. Shh. Look, everybody, you got to stir it up really good. The next step is putting 1.5 cups of water. And you know what? You're going to use your hand for this part. Warm water is really nice. Lucy, you know why warm water is nice? Because it feels good. All right, let's get our water. Alright, we've got our flour with our salt in it, and we've got our warm water. Lucy is going to slowly pour the warm water in while I stir. Don't dump it in all at once, just slowly pour it. Go ahead. Slowly. Might take 2 hands, it's kind of heavy. Use your art muscles. Remember, this is art class. Slowly, slowly! Good thing I'm fast at stirring. Keep going. Perfect. Too fast, slow down. And we're stirring it. This is not going to taste good. Don't get excited. It has lots of salt in it. And the reason why this recipe has salt is because salt is a preservative. That's why the Egyptians used salt to purify the mummies. They dried out the mummies with salt and used them so they wouldn't rot. So that's why we're putting salt in this, because we don't want it to rot. And if you're using this as an ornament for a Christmas tree or some decorations for the holidays that you put away every year, maybe like in your basement in a tub, you wouldn't want it to mold. And so it's going to not taste good if you eat it, because it has salt as a preservative. Now, you won't be able to stir it completely with a spoon because it's pretty stretchy. So the fun part about this and why kids like making it is because you gotta get your hands dirty. So roll up my sleeve, Lucy. Thank you. Whoa! Well, that's all right. Let's keep going. All right, let's try it again. Now I'm gonna use my hands to squish all of this together. Get it all together. My phone has dough on it. And I think it's possible I need just a dash more of water. And this is how if you've ever made dough before. Sometimes you add a couple more tablespoons of water to help it all come together. Lucy, you wanna help? Okay. Helping what? I'm gonna add like two teaspoons of water. More water, because it feels good. A little bit of water goes a long way. If you add too much water, I burned her. Sorry, Lucy. I'm sorry. I get to wipe it on you. I deserve that. There we go, just that little bit of water. Your phone like has eyebrows now, like clay eyebrows. My phone has clay eyebrows? Yeah, oh my gosh. Not clay eyebrows. Dough brows. Dough brows. Alright, almost there. You know I'm recording this, right? Cool, you can do the soundtrack. Keep going. Alright, that's probably good. Look at this mess we made. There's our dough. Alright, so the next part, after you've made your big dough ball, you're going to be rolling it out. If you have a rolling pin, that's super helpful. If you don't have a rolling pin, you could just take a small piece at a time, kind of like we do in the studio with clay, and smash it like a pancake to make it nice and thin. The thinner these are, the better they will cook up, and the less likely they are to crack. So you can squish it out like this, and then you can cut this out into the shape that you want your ornament to be in. Now I've got a rolling pin, so that's what I'm going to use, and I'm going to maybe divide this into different balls here, because I've got quite a lot of dough. Alright, now at this point in the project, you're probably going to want to move over to a baking pan with your wax paper over the top. And I've got 3 big pancakes of dough, and I'm just going to use one at a time. And you can use a knife to cut out the pieces that you want. Lucy quit eating peanuts during my video. And we used, I hope you noticed, several different tools to create our shapes. Lucy quit eating peanuts during my video. So you can use a knife to cut out any shape that you want. You probably noticed that I'm using a toothpick here to do some details. You could also trace your design with a toothpick first before cutting it out with a knife. And also, especially if you are one of our younger friends, it might be easier for you to just cut out some ornament shapes. If you have jars or tiny cups, that's great for making little circle ornaments. Also, you could use cookie cutters if you have anything like that. Now the last thing that we're going to do is to cut a hole through each of our ornaments, because I'm going to want to hang this. So you can hang it on a doorknob, you can hang it, if you have a tree at home, you can hang it on a tree, you can hang it on a nail on the wall. It doesn't even have to be a holiday craft, it could be any sort of thing. If you do a little heart, that can be hanging on your wall all year. I am using a plastic straw to cut out these holes. You could certainly use a knife to poke a hole or anything else that you have at home, but I like that the plastic straw gives us, here you go Lucy, a nice perfect circle. So you want to cut that near the top, okay? And don't leave that in there. The fun part is you have to blow it out. You have to go and blow it at somebody you love. Don't leave it in there, it'll dry. Oh boy, here I go. If you have a design like a heart, you might want to put a hole in each side, like it's got 2 eyeballs, and you can loop a string through the middle. How come you're so good at it? Because I'm mean. Oh, mean people are good. You're making me laugh a lot. We got one more to do. Alright, we poked our hole. Wait, but I want to throw it at you. Alright, everybody. If you got your little circles of people that you love, you gotta pick them up, okay? Otherwise, your parents will never let you come back to art class with me. Now, once you have created your ornaments, you can also add details. You can notice I did some little details on my kitty cat head here, but sometimes you may want to just do some crest details to give some texture to something. Now, this is a texture that makes sense because this little tree has pine needles, but maybe you want to do a texture that is abstract, especially on a circle ornament. Remember that your artwork doesn't have to be something specific. It could just be about shapes and colors and lines and textures, and that is definitely an awesome way to be creative. So, I'm going to do these little lines on my tree, and then on one of my circles here, I could just do lines that change directions and make an abstract pattern. You can also use a fork to do this, or be really creative and find things that you can stamp into your ornament. So maybe you find some nature that you want to stamp in there. Hang on, Lucy, I'll look at it. Hang on. So I'm just adding lots of texture. So there's a million and one different ways to do these, and I hope you find your own creative way to make these really. Now our salt dough ornaments are ready to be baked. My oven is preheated to 300, and we're going to put it in the oven. Lucy, open the oven. Incoming! Let an adult put these in for you, and wait an hour.
I repeat, ask an adult to help you.
If your ornaments are super thick, they might need more than an hour. But if they're about as thick as mine, I would say like a 1/4 of an inch thick, or maybe even an 1/8 of an inch. I'm not your math teacher. If they're sugar cookie thin, then an hour is probably good. If they start to brown, they're definitely done. Meanwhile, it's time to clean up our mess. Make your mama proud and clean up your mess. Alright, the timer went off and we think our salt dough ornaments are finished. Let's take a look and see what they look like. Ooh, remember, you need an adult to help you get these out of the oven. Alright, they look pretty cooked. If you have really thick ones, they might need extra time to cook. And if they're pretty thin, like my kitty cat here is pretty thin, that may not take as long. So once they start to brown, if they're starting to get brown, then they're definitely done. So I would keep an eye on them. Look, this is starting to burn here. So they're almost finished. You want to let them dry. Help me blow on them. Alright, so now our ornaments, our salt dough ornaments are done, and we're ready to add some string. Now at this point, if you want to paint them, you can. If you have paint, that's great, you can paint them, but I kind of like their natural look, and so I'm even going to use some natural twine to tie mine up. But if you have ribbon that you might use for sewing, or maybe you have ribbon that maybe you use when you wrap presents, or anything at all you can use to tie a little string on here, you can make it into an ornament. Now remember that this doesn't have to be hung on a tree. You could make a really long string and hang it on your doorknob, or you could hang it on a little nail on the wall and have a little sculpture that you made. So I hope you guys had fun making your salt dough ornaments today, and I can't wait to see you again next time. See you later. Bye.